You know, let's be real for a second. There's this economic anxiety that's just hanging in the air. You feel it, right? When you're at the grocery store, when you look at your bank account, or you hear these crazy numbers about the national debt, it just feels like the whole system is creaking, like it's under this immense, unsustainable pressure.
And look, that feeling, it's not just in your head. The entrepreneur Tom Bilyeu, he put it perfectly. He calls inflation an invisible tax. And that just nails it, doesn't it? It's the sense that your wealth, all your hard work, is just being silently drained away, and you never even agreed to it. It really makes you feel like the whole game is rigged.
And the scale of this whole thing, I mean, it's just staggering. Get this, $1 trillion. That's what's added to the national debt every 100 days. $1 trillion. This isn't some far-off problem for our grandkids to solve. Nope, it's a mathematical reality happening right now. And it's creating this debt spiral that puts pressure on every single dollar you earn and every dollar you try to save. But what if I told you that none of this is new? Seriously, this whole pattern of pressure and debt and anxiety, it's a cycle that's been playing out for thousands of years. So to really get what's happening to us today, we have to look past the frantic headlines. We've got to go deeper and uncover this timeless pattern, this sort of hidden logic that's driving our entire economic reality. Okay, so where does it all start? Well, it starts with the foundational story of modern economics. It's a story we're all told, one that's so pervasive we don't even think to question it. And that story is the story of scarcity. I mean, go look it up. The textbook definition of economics. The entire field, the whole shebang, is built on one core assumption, that resources are limited. It automatically frames the world as a fixed pie. And if the pie is fixed, then the only important question is, how do we divvy up the slices? And that one single assumption, man, it shapes everything. Our businesses, our politics, and yeah, that personal anxiety we all feel about not having enough. But here's the big question. What if that's not the whole story? What if this core assumption is just wrong? What if scarcity isn't a physical law like gravity? What if it's more like a mindset? Maybe even a manufactured condition that we actually have the power to change? Just asking that one question, it completely cracks open a different way of seeing the entire world. So let's do it. Let's dive into that radically different story. This is a story of abundance. And just to be clear, this isn't some new age self-help idea. No, this is an ancient worldview, one that's deeply woven into the biblical narrative, and it offers a really powerful alternative to that scarcity trap we're all caught in.
Think of it like this. These are two totally different operating systems for how you see reality. On one hand, you've got the scarcity mindset. It sees that fixed pie we talked about, right? And that naturally leads to zero-sum competition. For me to get a bigger slice, you have to get a smaller one. Simple. But the abundance mindset, it sees the world as a field of seeds. The goal isn't to fight over what's already there. It's to plant, to multiply, to co-create and build trust so that we end up with more for everybody.
And this story of abundance, it has a whole arc to it. It starts in Eden, this state of joyful co-creation. But then, after the fall, that's when scarcity enters the picture. So what happens next? The Torah provides what you could call guardrails, a set of laws designed specifically to push back against scarcity and restore abundance. Then Christ comes and addresses the problem at a heart level, a level of deep, radical trust. And the whole story points toward a new creation where that original abundance is fully and finally restored. Every single one of these steps has something to tell us about our economy today.
All right, so let's zoom in on one of those guardrails from the Torah, because it's absolutely crucial. It's the concept of the Jubilee. And it might be an ancient idea about debt, but you're going to see it has a shocking relevance to the economic cycles we're living through right now. So what was the Jubilee? Well, think of it as a divinely commanded, society-wide reset button. Every 50 years, boom, all debts were just canceled. All ancestral land was returned to its original family, and anyone who'd become an indentured servant was set free. It was this incredibly radical system designed to stop one thing, the long-term concentration of wealth and power that, as history shows, almost always leads to social collapse. And this gets to a core lesson of history, something that modern analysts will tell you too. A society has a choice. It can choose to reset its financial imbalances in an orderly, planned way, like a jubilee. Or it can refuse. But here's the thing. If it refuses, a reset is still gonna happen. It'll just be chaotic and painful. We're talking hyperinflation, revolution, war. You pay one way or another. The bill always comes due.
And man, you see this pattern play out over and over again in history. Look at pre-revolutionary France. They had no jubilee, no orderly reset, and what happened? A violent revolution. Look at Weimar Germany. No orderly debt relief, and the reset came in the form of hyperinflation that just tore their society apart. And think about it, even in 2008, instead of a broad Jubilee-style reset that helped out regular households, what did we get? We got targeted bailouts for the big guys. And that left this deep, lingering sense of resentment and unfairness. The lesson is clear. Failing to reset things equitably has predictable and totally devastating consequences.
Okay, so if the core problem is this scarcity mindset that leads to these destructive cycles, then what's the solution? What do we actually do? Well, we need a practical playbook, a new way of thinking that helps us shift our focus away from just dividing up the slices of the pie and toward planting more seeds.
This little matrix right here, this is basically a playbook for creating abundance. And it all boils down to one simple question. Is a resource rivalrous? That just means if I use it, can you still use it? A slice of pizza is rivalrous. If I eat it, it's gone. You can't eat it. But an idea? That's non-rivalrous. I can share an idea with you, and now we both have it. See, the trouble starts when we treat something non-rivalrous, like an idea, as if it were a scarce slice of pizza. We create artificial scarcity. And what this playbook shows is that in almost every situation, the winning strategy isn't division, it's multiplication. And here are 5 of the most powerful and reliable multipliers you can find. First, information, right? One online tutorial can train thousands of people. Then you have tools. A single software platform can multiply the output of every single person who uses it. When we focus our energy on these kinds of things, on building trust, creating cheap energy, and having stable institutions, we fundamentally shift the game. We move away from a zero-sum fight over slices and into a positive-sum world of exponential creation.
And that brings us all the way back to the grand story we started with. This one quote really just summarizes the entire economic journey of the biblical narrative. It's a story that, first, it diagnoses our problem. We fell into a scarcity mindset. But it doesn't leave us there. It also gives us the solution, a pathway back to abundance. A path that involves divine wisdom, a deep heart-level trust, and ultimately the hope of a world that is fully restored, where that curse of scarcity is finally gone for good.
So this leaves us with a final, and I think pretty challenging question to take with us. The next time you're faced with a problem, any conflict, big or small, try to stop asking the default question, okay, how do we divide this up? And instead ask a much more powerful question. What is the one thing that if we multiplied it right here would make fighting over the pieces totally unnecessary? Finding that seed, that little thing you can multiply, that is the heart of building an economy of abundance.